Title: aitah for confronting my boyfriend for lying about his age. When I met Ethan, I wasn't looking for anything serious. It was a rainy Thursday night. One of those evenings where the city feels too heavy and the world too small. I'd just gotten out of a relationship that had left me weary and raw. So when I matched with Ethan on a dating app, I wasn't expecting much. His profile said 27, charming smile, a few pictures that looked natural, not overly filtered, and a bio that was witty in a way that felt genuine. Old soul trapped in a guy who can still party all night had written. I remember laughing at that, thinking he might actually be someone who understood balance, maturity, and fun. Our first conversation lasted 5 hours. He was clever, attentive, a little self-deprecating, but in a way that made him feel safe. He told me about his job and marketing, his love for old vinyls, his golden retriever named Max. He remembered details I didn't even realize I'd mention, like my favorite tea, or the fact that I still collected pressed flowers. When we met in person, he looked slightly different. Not bad, just older. His jawline was a bit softer, there were faint creases at the corners of his eyes, and a streak of silver in his hair that wasn't visible in his photos, but I shrugged it off. Everyone looks different in person. For 3 months, everything was perfect. He met my friends, remembered birthdays, showed up with soup when I was sick. He was dependable, funny, and mature, something I thought was refreshing after my previous relationships. Then one night, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Normally I'd never check. I'm not that kind of person, but the message preview showed, "Hey man, can't believe you're turning 35 already. You're ancient." I froze. 35. At first, I told myself it must be a joke, but when he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, I asked him casually, "Hey, when's your birthday again?" He hesitated, just long enough. Then he smiled and said, "You forgot? March 14th. I told you." Except the message had said 35. If he'd been born when he said he was, he should have been 28 next month. I didn't say anything that night, but did nod at me. The next morning, when he was still asleep, I did something I'd never done before. I checked his wallet. His driver's license read March 14th, 1989. He wasn't 27. He wasn't 28. He was 36. I sat there, shaking, staring at that plastic rectangle like it was a loaded gun. When he woke up, I confronted him. I didn't scream. I just asked why. Why would he lie? Why would he think I wouldn't find out? He didn't deny it. He just sighed. He told me he'd been lying about his age for years on dating apps, because women his age didn't want something real, and that younger women were less bitter, more open. He said he hadn't expected to fall for me and didn't know how to tell me once things got serious. I told him that lying about his age wasn't just a little white lie. It was a choice, a manipulation. I had opened up to him, trusted him, thinking we were in the same life stage, the same place. He said I was overreacting, that it wasn't like he was lying about being married or something, that it's just a number. I walked out that morning, but he texted me later saying I'd humiliated him by confronting him and that I'd ruined something special over nothing. Now his friends are messaging me, saying he's heartbroken and that I shouldn't have made it a big deal. One even said I should take it as a compliment that he was into me despite the age gap. But I can't stop thinking. It wasn't the number that bothered me, it was the lie. So aitah for confronting him about lying about his age. Continuation. Part E. The lie that aged everything. The days after our confrontation blurred together into a kind of dull ache, the kind that sits under your ribs and doesn't leave. No matter how many cups of tea you drink or how many times you tell yourself it's fine. I blocked Ethan's number that night, but by the next morning, my DMs were full of messages from his friends. Apparently, had told everyone I'd overreacted, that I'd blown up a relationship over a technicality. One message stood out. You made him feel disgusting for something small. He lied because people like you always judge. People like me. I didn't reply. I couldn't. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I'd been gaslit for months. Gently, softly, wrapped in charm and humor. Every time I'd made a passing comment about wanting to grow together, or build something in our 30s, had nod like we were equals. But he wasn't just older. had lived a different life entirely. And yet, part of me still missed him. I hated that. A week passed before I saw him again. It was at my favorite coff, the one with the big windows and quiet corner tables. I walked in, and there he was, sitting in the same spot we had our first date. No accident. He looked right at me when I entered. "Hey," he said, smiling like nothing had happened. "Can we talk?" I should have left, but curiosity, nostalgia, stupidity, call it whatever, kept my feet rooted. He started with the same lines, that he didn't mean to deceive me, that he thought I'd never have given him a chance if I'd known the truth. But then his tone shifted. "It's just you have this thing about control," he said quietly, eyes studying me. "You want everything neat, explained, predictable. But life isn't like that." I stared at him. "You're calling me controlling because you lied." He leaned back, sighing. "I'm saying maybe that's why it bothered you so much. Because you couldn't control it." That's when it hit me. This wasn't guilt. It was deflection. Every word was crafted to make me question myself. I stood up. "You don't get to psychoanalyze me because you got caught in a lie." He laughed, a small, humorless sound. "You'll regret throwing this away over something so trivial." When I walked out, it wasn't dramatic. No tears, no scene. Just quiet, steady steps and the realization that sometimes the worst kind of deceit isn't the one that shocks you. It's the one that slowly reshapes who you think you are. 3 months later, I'd started seeing someone new. Noah. Kind, transparent, maybe a little too earnest, but honest in a way that felt safe. I hadn't told him much about Ethan. Just that my last relationship had ended because of trust issues. Then, one morning, I got an anonymous message on Instagram. "Has still lying to people. Still saying has 27. One of my friends matched with him last night. Thought you should know." Attached was a screenshot of Ethan's new dating profile. Same photos, same smirk, same bio, except now it said he was 26. I stared at the screen for a long time, not because I was surprised, I wasn't, but because it confirmed what I'd feared most. He hadn't lied to me because of insecurity, had lied because he knew it worked. When I told Noah, he just listened. He didn't offer pity or outrage. He just said, "That's on him. But don't let it make you smaller." For the first time, I realized how much Athens' lie had aged me. Not in years, but in trust. 2 weeks later, I got an unexpected email. Subject line: closure. It was from Ethan. "I've been doing a lot of thinking. I just want you to know I didn't mean to hurt you. I only lied because I didn't think you'd want someone my age. I loved you. The real kind. You made me feel young again." He ended it with, "You'll always be the one who made me feel honest, even when I wasn't." I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. I deleted the email, finished my coffee, and took a deep breath. Sometimes closure doesn't come from words or apologies. Sometimes it comes from silence, the kind that follows truth finally setting you free. Continuation. Part E. When the lie came full circle a year later, I thought I'd buried the whole thing. Ethan was a closed chapter, one that had burned itself out in a small, controlled fire. I'd moved cities for work, adopted a cat named Milo, and learned to enjoy my own company again. I didn't think about him anymore. Not consciously, at least. But sometimes when I heard someone order a flat white or quote a 90s band, something in my chest would flicker, a memory, brief and unwanted, like static in the background of a quiet song. Then one evening, after a long day at work, I went to a local networking mixer. My new boss had insisted. "It'll be fun," she said. "Drinks, music, free food, what's not to like?" I walked in and it was exactly what I expected. Loud, crowded, full of people pretending to be relaxed. I got myself a drink and found a small corner where I could safely hover, until it was socially acceptable to leave. That's when I heard his laugh. It wasn't just familiar. It was specific. That low, smooth kind of laugh that starts in the chest. I froze. My mind rejected it before my body could react. But then I turned, and there he was. Ethan. Same smirk, same stance, but he looked older. Not dramatically, but enough that I noticed. The faint gray streak in his hair had grown more pronounced. His eyes looked tired, like he hadn't been sleeping much. He didn't see me at first. He was talking animatedly to a small group, mostly women, all of them clearly younger than him. I overheard snippets. "Yeah, I just turned 28. My company just hit its 5-year mark. Oh, you like vinyls? I collect too. especially Bowie. It was the same lines, the same pattern. I almost laughed, not from amusement, but from disbelief. How effortlessly had slipped back into the role, like a con artist reciting a well-rehearsed script. I could have walked away. I should have. But something inside me, something that had been silenced for too long, pushed me forward. I walked straight up to him, set my drink down on the nearby table, and said calmly, "Hi, Ethan." He froze. For half a second, the color drained from his face. Then the mask slipped back on. "Oh, wow, hey, long time." The group around him went quiet. One of the women looked from me to him, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "Still 28?" I asked, my tone casual. He gave a small, uncomfortable chuckle. "You always did have a flair for drama." "Not drama," I said. "Just honesty. You remember what that is, right?" The tension was suffocating. I could see him trying to spin it, to regain control of the narrative. "You don't have to do this here," he said quietly. I leaned in just slightly. "No, Ethan, you don't have to keep doing this everywhere." He looked away first. The women around him didn't say anything, but one of them, the one who had been laughing at his joke moments ago, gave me a subtle, grateful glance, like something had clicked for her, like maybe, for once, his charm had cracked in real time. I laughed, not in a storm of anger, not triumphant, just quietly. But I'll be honest, my hands were shaking the entire walk home. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment, wondering if I'd gone too far, if I'd embarrassed him needlessly. But then I remembered the way he'd smirked when I'd first caught him in his lie, the way he'd told me I was controlling, had done this to dozens of women, probably. And if that small confrontation stopped him from doing it again, or even just made someone else second-guess his act, maybe it was worth it. Still, part of me couldn't help but feel haunted, not by him exactly, but by the version of myself who had once loved him. The girl who had believed every word, who had thought age was just a number and honesty was something you could rebuild once it cracked. 2 months later, I got a message from an unknown number. "Hey, I just wanted to say you were right. About everything." It was Ethan. I went to therapy. My therapist said what I did came from insecurity, from watching time pass me by. I lied because I didn't know how to face getting older, how to stop performing for approval. "You didn't deserve that." "I'm sorry." I stared at the message for a long time. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even enough. But it was something. I didn't reply. Because forgiveness doesn't always need to be spoken. Sometimes it's just the act of letting go, of realizing that their lie no longer has the power to shape your truth. 1 year later, I was packing for a weekend trip when I came across an old photo. Me and Ethan, laughing at a coffee table, both of us mid-conversation. For the first time, I didn't feel anger, just clarity. He had been a lesson, a hard, necessary one, about trust, about self-worth, and about the quiet, invisible damage of small lies. I smiled, tore the photo in half, and dropped it in the bin. Then I picked up my bag, locked the door, and stepped out into the bright, open air, lighter than I'd felt in years.